It's game 2 of our ACC Basketball Network doubleheader here tonight. We greet you with Cameron Indoor Stadium as our backdrop. Number 2 Duke, after a 12-day pause, back on the floor tonight for Hall of Famer Mike Krzyzewski, and they meet Georgia Tech. And with Corey Alexander, West Durham, we welcome you to our coverage. It's already been an interesting night. Wake Forest winning at home, NC State winning on the road, Corey. And this one could be interesting as well. But for the Blue Devils, of all the things that were happening before they went on the pause, they won 4 straight, but they want to get a little bit more out of the post, and that means sophomore Mark Williams focuses on our target.
Absolutely. The Blue Devils have got great production from their perimeter, especially Wendell Moore and, of course, Paolo Banchero. However, Mark Williams, who coming into the season received a lot of praise simply because of the way he finished last year off on a tear for the Blue Devils, and he's done the job defensively, leading the ACC in block shots per game. However, rebounding the basketball has been a challenge for the Blue Devils, specifically for Mark Williams. Coach K wants to see more from Mark Williams in that aspect to help this team get better.
Last time Williams saw the Jackets, 20.7 rebounds. When you talk about Georgia Tech, the headliner at the start of the year is still the headliner, and it's the ACC's leading scorer in Michael DeVoe.
And Michael DeVoe is going to have a big-time performance at Cameron Indoor if he wants his team to have an opportunity to win this game. That means he's going to have to be ultra-aggressive, looking for his own offense, because he provides so much of it for Georgia Tech.
You see the 21 points a game. It leads the league. He's our Geico player spotlight. 46% from behind the line is second best in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So Georgia Tech's lost 5 of their last 6. They're level par on the season, 6-6. They're 0-2 with home losses to North Carolina and Louisville. Corey, as they come to Cameron tonight, the Blue Devils have won their last 4, but this is their first game since the 21-point victory over Virginia Tech back on December 22nd.
And give Georgia Tech the advantage. They actually were on pause also, but they started back to practice last Thursday, got 3 days practice in before their game against Louisville. So they had the advantage from that standpoint. Duke's first practice was yesterday, and right now Coach K concerned about the conditioning of his Blue Devils. Josh Pastner hoping that conditioning has not arrived quite yet.
Well, Josh Pastner said when his team came back to practice, it wasn't very good. He said it was like the over 40 game at the Planet Fitness, right? So, I mean, you know, let's be honest, that's the one thing that kind of comes back into play with every team, right? When they go on those pauses, the conditioning aspect of it.
Yeah, the conditioning aspect of it is significant. And also you have to be concerned about injuries, especially soft tissue injuries, because guys are not used to the bumps and bruises that you normally take during a basketball game.
Here's Moore off the tip and had it blocked away from behind by Jordan Mecca as he went to the basket. And Mecca, the sophomore from Cameroon, drawing his second straight start for the Jackets tonight. And 5 seconds in, Duke's got it on a baseline throw in, and there's a 3-ball out of the corner from Roach. And Duke will get the offensive rebound and a foul called on Usher.
You know, and WD, one of the things that we have to be concerned about is Duke was in isolation. So you think about, as you look at their starting five, these guys have not picked up a basketball. It wasn't as though they, were on a COVID pause and had an opportunity to get workouts in. They did not pick up a basketball. You're in isolation for a week. That is tough to be able to respond back.
And DeVoe, attacking off the wing, draws a foul from Keels. So the foul on the 6'4 freshman Keels, his first, and there's a look at the senior Mike DeVoe. Kind of a balky start here early, Corey.
It really is. And again, you see, you have to expect for Duke to be rusty. And you see it on the first 2 possessions. Jeremy Roach getting a wide open 3, unable to finish it. And then Mark Williams right under the basket, unable to get the dunk. And again, timing is going to be a significant issue for the Blue Devils, as we see Georgia Tech has worked out a little bit of their rust as Paolo Banchero gets a point-blank look, unable to finish it.
Yeah, Moore and Mecca collide underneath and knock the ball away, so it'll stay with the Blue Devils. And there is Jordan Mecca, who comes in averaging about a half point a ball game. He started against Louisville, played 20 minutes. Young man who Josh Pastner says has a terrific upside, but tonight they play without Rodney Howard again because of an ankle injury to these Yellow Jackets. And Saba Gigi Baria is available tonight, but not for how many. They don't know for how long or how effective the young man from the Republic of Georgia will be. And there's Banchero on cue starting the Blue Devils.
And look forward to watching the Blue Devils attempt to get the basketball inside, trying to get as close as they possibly can to the basket, especially when you consider the size advantage they're going to have over Georgia Tech in the post, and also the fact that jump shots may not fall very much so for the Blue Devils here tonight.
Out front here is DeVoe. See the shot clock inside of 10. Long three. Slapped out by Mecca. Recovered Sturdivant. He'll spot up, and a 2 is too strong, and Williams yet another rebound. Moore crossover into traffic. Fouled on the drive. Pretty slick move by Wendell Moore.
Very nice, and Wendell Moore has been aggressive all year long, attacking the basket, getting out in transition, and this is the way Duke wants to play. They want their defense to fuel their offense, get in advantage situations, and Wendell Moore, seeing 3 blue jerseys, still not deterred, attacking the basket. And again, the one way you can get yourself going, get to the free throw line, get a couple practice opportunities within the game, and then give yourself an opportunity now to put some points on the board.
Duke is the number 2 free throw shooting team in the ACC, coming in at almost 76%. Wendell Moore is 73 on the year. The miss there, 29, now a 41 on the season. Free throw makes it a 3-0 game. A little backcourt pressure offered by the Blue Devils here.
And we watched Paolo Banchero actually pick up Khalid Moore 94 feet, and that's one of the ways to really kind of get the nerves out and also to get yourself going. You pick up full court, expend some energy, look for Coach K to get, a lot of guys in the game for the Blue Devils, and their amount of time they're on the floor will be shorter spurts here tonight in comparison to what we would normally see.
Usher trying to find room with under 10 to shoot. Moore fall away. Good. Khalid Moore, senior from Briarwood, New York, averaging just under 6 a game, puts Georgia Tech on the board.
But Khalid Moore has been much better offensively as of late, averaging close to 8 over their last 6 games and shooting great from the field, now 19 for 31 over those past 6.
There's a lob and a catch and flush from Williams.
High percentage look created off of the penetration, and if you're the Blue Devils, that's one thing you want to try to continue to do, even when Georgia Tech goes to the zone. And of course, it's often difficult at times to figure out what type of defense Josh Pastner's playing, but you have to be in attack mode.
Look at Mecca strong to the basket. Corey, just the 2nd field goal of the year for Jordan Mecca.
And Jordan Mecca providing some offense, some wanted offense. However, someone forgetting that a 7-footer on the back line for the 2nd straight possession is not going to sit well with Josh Pastner. In a zone, you always have to be wary of the big man available for the lob on the backside.
3-point lead for the Blue Devils. Back-to-back buckets from Williams, and there's an offensive foul. That's the 2nd on Sturdivant. So Kyle Sturdivant draws his 2nd, 3rd on Georgia Tech. And Josh Pastner with the face shield in game 2 here. Put it back on Sunday night against Louisville, and he's gone back to kind of a trademark of their tournament run a year ago in Greensboro.
I mean, and that's the Josh Pastner look. Now, he did get a haircut, which I was disappointed by. However, other than the haircut, that's the Josh Pastner look. You got to keep the sideburns, or we'll call them chops, for Josh Pastner. And, of course, that mask.
Usher, the flush at the other end. Jordan Usher on the board.
Well, if there's one guy that's looking forward to coming into this building and trying to silence the Cameron Crazies, it would be Jordan Usher. He lives for this type of environment. He wants this moment. And, of course, he wants a win against the Blue Devils. No one on this roster has ever had one for Georgia Tech.
Here's Banchero, long 3.
Haven't had one in Cameron.
That's it. Gigi Berea the rebound. Outlet, Sturdivant playing with 2. Here's DeVoe. Saba can't finish over the top of Williams.
And that was a hesitant shot. That is the reputation of Mark Williams that had Gigi Berea hesitant to take that shot and eventually missing it without Mark Williams really having to put up any resistance.
A little running hook by Moore missed badly. 1-point lead for the Blue Devils. Georgia Tech on the attack. DeVoe scoreless so far through the game's first 4 minutes and change. Gigi Berea at the high post of that Princeton offense. More sets in 3. Khalid Moore's 4th 3 of the year. Puts Georgia Tech in front, Corey.
WD, I watched probably the other 3 against North Carolina. So when you consider Khalid Moore, he must love playing against the Blue Bloods of the ACC, start off to a great start here against the Blue Devils.
First lead of the night and a miss at the Blue Devil end of the floor. Usher into the front court. Gigi Berea skips back out, and here's Jordan Usher on the attack. Saba had it blocked. That was Banchero swatting it away.
I believe
Freshman
during
from
the
Seattle
timeout,
in transition.
I believe during the timeout, Josh Pastner is going to let Saba Gigi Berea understand that's not going to work here tonight. When you're dealing with Paolo Banchero, you're dealing with Mark Williams. If you're not going to go strong to the hole, don't go. It's not going to work.
ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. Save even more when you bundle home and car insurance. Great to be on the Tuesday night ride with Corey Alexander, Wes Durham, Katie Bessel, our producer, Chad Lampman, our director. All right, now Sunday night after the loss to Louisville, Michael DeVoe telling Kelly Quinlan, who covers Georgia Tech for Rivals and Yahoo Sports, on guys like Jared West playing him kind of physically, said, I've not had a good whistle this year from refs. I'll ask you, Corey Alexander, what kind of prescription do you write for that medicine?
Well, I'll tell you this, WD. Now, of course, you know, light years ago when I was playing in the ACC.
Wait. It's not light years, but I understand.
Okay, it's been a long time. So before the games, I would go up to Larry Rhodes. I would go up, to Lenny Works, to Dick Paparo. And I would say, hey, guys, for the record, if I miss a shot, it's a foul. And so from there, we always had a great relationship, okay? The one group of individuals you want to have a great relationship with as a basketball player is the officials. You'll get the benefit of the doubt. When you make comments as such, you remove the benefit of the doubt. So therefore, and again, officials it's human nature. We talked to Josh Pastner about it earlier. He says, I don't know if the officials pay attention to it, but if they read it. I guarantee you they've read it. It's been brought to their attention. And again, it won't be anything malicious. But I'm not sure as an official I'm going to give Michael DeVoe the benefit of the doubt, especially if I've been one of the officials who has refereed one of his games earlier where he's getting to the free throw line 6 times a game.
3 ball out of the corner. Joey Baker puts Duke back in front on a big triple. Well, I think you're right about the approach for sure. Here's a backdoor cut. Usher got Baker in the air, draws the foul. So Joey Baker, the senior from Fayetteville, draws his first. It'll be the second on Duke, and a couple of free throws coming for Jordan Usher. But Baker kind of fits the bill here, putting the Blue Devils in front.
Well, Joey Baker's been shooting the basketball great all year from 3, from the free throw line. He's been a spark plug off the bench for the Blue Devils. And so no doubt that he will be the come in and be the guy that knocks down the first 3 for the Blue Devils. And you consider his veteran leadership and what he brings to this team, it's invaluable when you consider, this Duke team and the aspirations that they have and being able to play different lineups, whether they play big, they play small. Joey Baker will figure into a lot of that as the season goes along.
Georgia Tech's gone small during the timeout. Bubba Parham's come on the floor for Josh Pastner. There's Khalid Moore dropping in his 3rd field goal. He's got 7 of the Jackets' 11. Duke's gotten into their depth as well. We get our first look at A.J. Griffin tonight and Theo John off Coach Krzyzewski's bench.
I like this Khalid Moore. I like this Khalid Moore. I like him being aggressive, recognizing that Duke is going to pay a lot of attention as Jeremy Roach gets the and one opportunity. And, of course, the flex, which is, it's a prerequisite. You go to bucket, you get contact, you make it. It's a prerequisite to flex. I would definitely flex. And I like Jeremy Roach attacking the basket as well, not always relying on his jump shot, but attacking the basket, putting more pressure on the defense.
But, Corey, that is 2 on Khalid Moore. He and Kyle Sturdivant both with 2. Jeremy Roach to the line. He's 67% on the year.
And
Khalid Moore, the old-fashioned three-point play.
Yeah, Khalid Moore, who's been the offense for Georgia Tech thus far. that's a big foul. But one thing that we both know about Josh Pastner, 2 fouls means absolutely nothing in the first half. He will not stay away from Khalid Moore getting his minutes because of 2 fouls.
Usher was the intended receiver. Ball hit the rim. Duke in control off the turnover. Georgia Tech's got a half dozen fouls in the first 7 minutes and about 20 seconds of this first half, and trails by 3. Banchero, skip pass for Baker. Oh, nice move by Keels to reset. Baker at the top on the pass. And here is Theo John hard to the rack. Challenged by DeVoe. Here's a lead and a catch, and Mecca went for the reverse. Duke the other way with Griffin.
With WD, one of the challenges we see that Josh Pastner has is Trevor Keels lines up the 3 and knocks it down. Josh Pastner has to make a decision, and it's on a nightly basis, as to whether or not he plays for his offense or for his defense. When you have Mecca on the floor or Gigi Barrera, you're going to struggle offensively. These guys are not yet ready for the Princeton offense and to be prepared to play at the high post and give them a score. But if you play Jordan Usher at the 5 and play smaller, that is a challenge defensively for your group, and that's what Josh Pastner's having to deal with on a nightly basis.
Shot clock was running down. Bubba Parham offered an air ball. That'll get us to a timeout here at Cameron.
And you see Trevor Keels lining it up, knocking down the 3. Joey Baker earlier getting involved in the action. The corner 3 ball is good right in front of the Crazies.
Indoor Stadium, and they've dominated the series. The 100th meeting here tonight, 75-24. They've won 11 straight at Cameron since early March 2004, the last time Georgia Tech posted a win in the building. And this being the centennial meeting, and ironically, Corey, the series started February 1922. Most famous person, Babe Ruth.
22 was a good year, WD. I mean, think about it. I mean, a pound of rice you could get for 6 cents. Now, I'm not sure if I have ever bought a pound of rice. Right. However, anything that you can get for 6 cents, has to be a good deal.
But the thing to me is sliced bread wasn't introduced
Absolutely.
yet.
Absolutely. Right? The term, the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
You couldn't use it in 22.
That's correct. Behind the back for Parham's 3. Georgia Tech tried to keep it alive. Mecca getting a lot of minutes now, and we'll see more minutes. Rodney Howard not available. Gigi Barrera has been in briefly, but the sophomore from Cameroon is going to try and deal with Banchero at the post, as Duke's posted an early 6-point advantage here. Keels spots, left it on the front rim, and A.J. Griffin gives him another chance, and a whistle and a foul. That'll be the 7th on Georgia Tech, but 2 shots, I think, coming here.
A.J. Griffin has been special for the Blue Devils as of late. He really is the guy that gets a lot of credit for the Virginia Tech win as he takes the exit. Mark Williams comes back in for A.J. Griffin, but he has been exactly what Duke has needed for him to be as of late, especially during this 4-game winning streak, and starting to round out into the guy that we all were expecting to see coming into the Blue Devil as a highly recruited freshman.
Front end of the 1-and-1 for Roach from Leesburg, Virginia. And he missed it. Blue Devils struggling at the line. They are just 1 or 2 of their first 5. Or 6 now at the line, I should say. 2 of 6 is Duke.
Well, when timing is off, everything is off. And again, when you can't pick up a basketball, when you can't get in the gym, you can't shoot it for a week, and you're in isolation, I'm not expecting for Duke to really shoot the basketball well today. Honestly surprised that Keels and Joey Baker have both knocked down a 3.
There's Moore, a fall away that rattled out. And here are the Blue Devils. And Roach lost it on the dribble. DeVoe and Parham take to the floor to try and tie him up on the held ball, and possession will belong to Josh Pastner's team. There is Mike Krzyzewski.
Yeah, and those are the plays, honestly, more so I was thinking we would see from the Blue Devils, the timing plays, and where you haven't been out sprinting full court, falling down, not really being at your best, especially physically, as we get a look at the greatest resume of a college basketball coach. Of course, John Wooden may have something to say with that, but John Wooden doesn't have 1,181 career wins either. So does have a bunch of national titles though.
Here's DeVoe, backdoor Parham. Kick into the corner, 3-ball. That's Debo Coleman, the freshman from Memphis, averaging about 6 points a game. Comes in and knocks down his 16th three of the year.
Yeah, Debo Coleman shooting the basketball extremely well. 54% from three on the season. And, of course, WD, you know a guy shooting the basketball that well. You know how I feel about it. Got to get Debo more shots.
Yep. Held ball. It'll go to Duke on alternating possession. Coach K wanted a foul. The amazing stat when we just showed the slab a moment ago. 5 times the ACC Coach of the Year? Come on now.
Well,
42nd season?
That's the Michael Jordan rule. That's similar to like Michael Jordan not being the MVP of the NBA for every year. At that point, like right now, Coach K, because everyone expects for Duke to be so great, he pretty much has to have an undefeated season to be, the ACC Coach of the Year. And mind you, he's had 11 of those at home, 11 undefeated seasons at home. And again, an opportunity to do it once again this year as he has a team that is not just, an ACC contender, but also a national championship contender as well.
Look at Moore, strong move to the basket. Mecca can't finish on the follow. Going to go over the inline out of bounds. Jordan hits the photographers well. It will belong to the Blue Devils.
And that's just an example of the challenge that Josh Pastner and Georgia Tech is dealing with when they have to play size on the floor. Jordan Mecca coming in with the offensive rebound opportunity, no one there, unable to put it back in, and then unable to corral it, falling out of bounds, giving the basketball back to the Blue Devils in a spot where it really should have been second chance points.
Moore inside, knocked out, last touch by Parham. So Wendell Moore and Michael DeVoe. With 8:23 to play, Duke will get a spot through. And don't forget, we got a Saturday college basketball triple header for you. Starts at 4 o'clock Eastern, but it's headlined at 8 by Miami visiting number 2 Duke at Cameron Indoor. All of it available for you on ACC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. And the Canes will come in. They meet Syracuse tomorrow night at home with Cam McGusty, who's off to a tremendous start. And Jim Larenega's team is 3-0 in ACC play.
And Jim Larenega actually has a full complement of players. Once they get Sam Wardenberg back, this will be the healthiest that Coach L has a team in the past 4 seasons. And right now he's enjoying coaching this group in Coral Gables.
You bet. Of course, you saw him beat Wake Forest over the weekend. Very impressive performance. And then the Orange visit tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at the Watsco Center. Here's Mark Williams working. Got off to a pretty good start. Couldn't finish on the hook here, and Usher the rebound. Bubba Parham, who missed most of the early season with a knee injury, suffered in the preseason, just returned to action on Sunday night for the first time, making his second appearance of the year. Saba Gigi Berea trying to work it through the post, and a backdoor pass and a layup too strong for the Jackets.
Josh Pastner talked to us about the scoring droughts and the scoring struggles that his team would have, throughout stretches of this season. But one of the things that they have to have is a strong performance from Michael DeVoe and Jordan Usher if they want to have an opportunity to win here at Cameron Indoor. And to this point, they haven't gotten a strong offensive production from either of those 2 seniors. These guys are going to have to step it up moving forward.
Duke a 5-point lead, number 2 team in the country. 7 minutes to go first half. Now, a moment ago, Josh Pastner, who was a walk-on at Arizona in his collegiate days, Corey, apparently he started to play defense on Banchero.
Well, Josh Pastner is a defensive guy, no question about it. And he's trying to give his team every opportunity he can to be successful. But, Wes, I will say that the sidelines at Cameron Indoor are kind of tight. You see that CA right there, which, of course, my 2 favorite letters. Yeah. My freshman year at University of Virginia, we're playing at Duke. We're down. I go for a steal. And I'm not sure what made me decide to go low in comparison to jumping over the scores table, but I did get my elbow up at the last minute and went head first into that CA. And my teammate, who's now the associate head coach at the University of Virginia, Jason Williford, jumped off the bench and ran over to me because I hit the table so hard. He jumped up and ran over there, and I immediately sat up, looked at my bench, and just fell out. And that was it for me for the rest of that game. Fortunately, no concussion. We wore elbow pad for the remainder of the season after that one, but that's my CA moment at Cameron Indoor.
Wow, here's DeVoe, a little scoop. Georgia Tech trying to get back on the board. They've been over their they had about a 2.5-minute scoring drought before Gigi Berea followed the miss for his first basket. And it's a 5-point game. It's been one of these games, we said at the top, a little balky. There have been some pretty plays, but there also been a lot of frustrating misses at both ends.
But, give Georgia Tech credit. They have done a great job contesting the Blue Devils at the rim as Gigi Berea is unable to handle the pass, but corrals it and will get the opportunity at the free throw line. But there's been some contact on some plays at the rim, and I give the officials credit because they're not looking to call those fouls. The Blue Devils have been attacking on their end and not getting calls, and that one seems to not have much contact at all. Maybe it was someone other than Theo John with that foul.
It was Joey Baker. It was his second. And Saba Gigi Berea from the Republic of Georgia at 7-1 knocks down the free throw. Don't forget, Thursday night on ACC Network here in the ESPN app, we'll have a doubleheader of women's basketball for you. Clemson and Florida State will get us started. And then, how about this one? Number 19 North Carolina, number 5 NC State at Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh at 8 o'clock Eastern. Elisa Cunane and the Wolfpack hosting Courtney Banghart and undefeated North Carolina. 8 o'clock Eastern, ACC Network, streaming live on the ESPN app. Some kind of matchup in what has proven to be a very, very successful campaign for ACC women's basketball. A.J. Griffin knocked to the ground on a foul. He'll be going to the line here in just a moment on Georgia Tech's 9th team foul.
Nice take by A.J. Griffin there, recognizing that he's going to get attention. He's been shooting 50% from 3 over the last 4 games. So in the scouting report, Georgia Tech is going to try to take that away from him. Nice pump fake to get the defender to fly and then get a run to the basket to the free throw line for his first points on the evening.
Freshman from White Plains, New York, knocks down his free throw for the first point of his evening, and there's his first miss of the year on his 9th try. And Bert Smith says last touch by Duke. Banchero thought the Jackets might have hit it. The Hall of Fame head coach thinks that as well. Tell you what, 74 and still grinding like it's year one, Corey.
Oh, he has been, this year you have seen a different energy from Coach K. He has been so involved. I believe the fact that he doesn't have to recruit has taken a lot off his plate. But when you think about it, I've loved watching him and the energy he's coached with this year. You would have no idea that he's 74. This is year 42.
Michael DeVoe finally scores with about 5:25 to play here in this first half, Corey. First bucket of the night for the ACC's leading scorer.
Well, and Wes, Georgia Tech is a difficult team to prepare for because of the changing defenses, because of the hybrid zone that turns into a man-to-man.
And Banchero fouled by Gigi Berea. His second, 10 on the Jackets.
Give the Jackets credit for the job they've done defensively. We know that Duke is coming off of isolation. We know that they haven't been great, in this first half, but give Georgia Tech credit for sticking around. Michael DeVoe getting an opportunity to knock down his first shot of the evening. And right now, Georgia Tech starting to find some momentum. And, if you're Georgia Tech, you want to go into the halftime locker room with a lead and then putting some pressure on Duke, having them think about it, because Duke knows they're not playing their best basketball. But at the same time, you want them to be cautious of the fact that Georgia Tech can beat them in this building if they don't come out and play better.
Freshman from O'Day in Seattle has got 7 here in the first half to lead the Blue Devils. Paolo Banchero And the lead is 3 for number 2 Duke. Now DeVoe switched off by Banchero defensively. Nice pass. Gigi Berea with the right hand. Fell off the iron. Moore will lead the break. Had it knocked away. Nice behind the back. Here's Usher for DeVoe. Back for Usher, and they blew the lob. They tried to go high wire and an unforced error, Corey.
And again, it was a great idea. I like the idea from Michael DeVoe, but at the same time, the execution of it not special. And you get a turnover and an opportunity to get out in transition. And you're talking about one of the best athletes in the ACC in college basketball, Jordan Usher. But that pass just not there. And then Michael DeVoe compounds a mistake by fouling Paolo Banchero 90 feet away from the basket and giving Banchero an opportunity to put more points on the board for the Blue Devils.
Yep, 5th best free throw shooter in the ACC. Has now hit 4 in a row after missing his first. And he has 8 in this first half. You see Wendell Moore come out as Jalen Blakes has checked in for the first time, the freshman from Blair Academy in Somerset, New Jersey. He wears number 2 for the Blue Devils.
And you would expect to see both these coaches play a much larger roster, considering, you know, what they've been through over the past week or so.
There's Coleman firing away from the right. 5-point lead, Corey, and feels like Georgia Tech's got to be careful here. Blake's a 3. Dunk followed by Griffin off the back iron. You see the field goal shooting is not particularly special here in the first half.
No, but and you're 100% correct. With Georgia Tech has to be careful. And you remember Georgia Tech just had an opportunity to make this a 1-point game, and they blew it on the turnover as A.J. Griffin steps out, continues to shoot a hot basketball right now, forcing the timeout as Coach K is excited about seeing A.J. knock down the 3, and he's been animated on the sidelines all night.
Well, the ACC's leading scorer is Michael DeVoe at 21.2 a game, and so far in the ball game, only 2 points on 1 of 4 shooting in 15 minutes, Corey.
Well, and Michael DeVoe is being guarded by 2 very good defenders when you consider Wendell Moore and Trevor Keels. But this play right here is not the play that a senior can make. Not only the bad pass and bad decision on the break, but compounding it with a foul 90 feet away from the basket that allows Duke to put more points on the board. And right now, Josh Pastner expecting more of Michael DeVoe than to make that last play. WD, that was an opportunity to make the game 24-23 to get it within 1 point. And since then, Duke has gone on a 5-0 run and started to provide some separation as we get closer to halftime.
Georgia Tech with the ball. Duke's hit 1 of their last 7 from the floor. Jackets need a basket. Mecca can't finish inside. Banchero the rebound.
And WD, we talk about playing the right way. That is the right play for Jordan Usher to make, but you also got a KYP. Know your personnel. That's not a shot that Jordan Mecca is going to make. You mentioned it. He's only got 2 field goals all year long. Put them earlier today. You can't expect him to make that shot. Jordan Usher, with his athleticism, has to challenge whoever was at the rim for Duke on that possession. Try to score on his own, because his aggressiveness, if he doesn't make the shot, most likely will get him to the free throw line.
Yeah, it becomes a details possession offensively at times for Georgia Tech. Ball got knocked away into the bench. It'll stay with the Blue Devils. 5 to shoot here. Keels will launch. Leave it on the front rim, and Usher the rebound. 8-point lead for Duke inside 3 minutes. Ahead for Mecca with the right hand. Airballed it.
And I don't want to keep beating up. I don't want to keep beating up on Mecca, but if you're Jordan Usher, you can't give him the basketball in that scenario. Pull it back out, get the basketball out to your guards, run some offense, because you pretty much just shot a turnover on that possession.
Roach for Banchero with Mecca defending. Oh, nice move to the left hand, and fouled on the follow. The foul on Jordan Mecca. will be his first, but a heck of a move by Banchero here.
It really was, and you consider Paolo Banchero right now trying to get himself going as well. It's been a struggle for him offensively, but getting to the free throw line is allowing him to get himself going and, more importantly, put points on the board for the Blue Devils and try to extend this to a double-digit lead.
Just 9 for Banchero on 2 of 6 on the floor, and misses for the second time at the line in 7 tries. He does have 6 rebounds. Freshman from O'Dea in Seattle, whose mom was a terrific player at the University of Washington, Corey.
My girl Rhonda, big time buckets, no question about it.
Yep. And of course, first player from the Pacific Northwest since Quinn Snyder arrived from Mercer Island, Washington in the early 80s for Mike Krzyzewski.
So I got a question about that.
Okay.
Is Alaska not considered the Pacific Northwest? I mean, Carlos Boozer came all the way from Alaska. Trajan Langdon came from Alaska. You know, that has to be the Pacific Northwest, doesn't it?
Well, that's like that's way up above the Pacific Northwest, my man. Foul on the deck before the shot by DeVoe. I mean, you've been on the plane from Seattle to Anchorage before, Corey?
Hey, WD, Alaska is the United States.
I know you in cold weather, man.
It is the United States.
Yes.
And you don't get any more Northwest than that. And it does touch the Pacific Ocean. So therefore, that's why I'm thinking it has to be Pacific Northwest. Our guy Freddie Kiger has to agree with me. I know he does on that.
Well, you and Michael Jordan geography majors, so here we go. Fall away by Sturdivant, and a foul called inside.
I tell you what, if you mention me and Michael Jordan in the same sentence, I'll take it, regardless.
I bet you will.
To the connotation behind it, I'm taking that.
I'm just flying the flag tonight for Sherman and Cousins and all these guys you've been wearing down until you met me tonight. Come on now. Sturdivant at the line. Free throw good. His 20th make of the year. He's a 70% free throw shooter. Georgia Tech, by the way, 68% at the line as a team. Don't forget, we've got another Thursday night of doubleheader women's basketball, and then following the game you'll get nothing but net. Kelsey Riggs with Kelly Gramlich, Hall of Fame coach Muffet McGraw, and we welcome Chelsea Gray to our ACC Network family. Thursday night, 10 o'clock, following State Carolina right here on ACC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app.
I'm going to hit my man Booz and Trajan up. I need to talk to them about this. I think they would consider Alaska to be Pacific Northwest.
Hey, I'll let you report back. How's that? Check in with Booz. See if you can find Booz. There's Banchero on the drive. Paolo now with 11 in the first half on his third field, 12 in the first half on his third field goal. And a turnover, and it's a 9-point game. And here's that danger zone we were talking about on a 3-ball and a foul on Sturdivant. And that's going to send Moore to the line to shoot, or rather Roach to the line to shoot 3, Corey.
Danger zone is correct. And one thing you know about anytime you play at Cameron Indoor, Duke is going to make one of those patented runs. It starts with a Mark Williams block, as Jordan Usher wants to call on that one. I'm not sure if he was holding his head because he felt like he got hit by Mark Williams, or if he hit his head when he went down, crashing into our camera guy, who, by the way, stood in to take the contact, the charge. Respect.
So Sturdivant's got his third, and here is Roach at the line. 1 for 2 on the night prior to that. And 3 of them for Jeremy Roach, sophomore from Leesburg, who played with Trevor Keels at St. Paul VI.
If you ask Jeremy Roach that, he would say Trevor Keels played with him. Roach is older. However, those two guys were a very formidable backcourt, not only at Paul VI, but also team takeover.
I know, world famous team takeover.
TTO.
Yeah. Lead is ballooned to 12 here in the final minute. Parham. Jackets having a hard time finding a clean look now, Corey, against the Blue Devils. Drive on Moore, and a skip out. Khalid Moore, who had a hot start offensively. And Duke, with under 45 seconds left, will take the user to lose at 30 right here. Mike Krzyzewski with 40.3 to go. His team up a dozen late first half at Cameron, and we continue in a moment. With Corey Alexander, West Durham. Welcome back to Cameron. 35-23, Duke the lead by 12 with 40 seconds to go in this first half. Corey, got to be two concerns here for Josh Pastner. One is this lack of field goals. They haven't had one in the last 4:52, but here's the other one. He knows what the second half has been like for his team in the regular season as it is. It's not been a great shooting half. It's been a tough scoring half. They've seen leads of potential wins drift away in half two as well.
And Josh Pastner knows that his team gave up a golden opportunity to get Duke on the ropes when they had an opportunity and had a run midway through the first half, and now they've allowed Duke to provide some separation going to halftime. It's going to be a turnover, so it gives Georgia Tech an opportunity to get the last shot, and it's a very important possession right now for Josh Pastner's group. You want to be able to take this in, get some positive momentum going into the halftime locker room, and of course if you're able to get a three and get into a single-digit game, that's even greater.
Yep. So you see about a 1.6-second differential shot clock to game clock.
I'm shocked Josh Pastner didn't substitute and go with the smaller lineup for this last possession and get Mecca off the floor to try to space Duke out offensively. But he does have to deal with foul trouble with Khalid Moore and Sturdivant, so maybe not many opportunities as well.
So here's DeVoe for Usher, and now back to Michael DeVoe for essentially the final possession of the half. And a foul on Moore will be his first. And 6 fouls on the Blue Devils. And
but
now the shot clock off.
If you're going to take that foul, you want to wait until DeVoe's trying to get into a scoring position.
Here's DeVoe kind of sizing up Blake's. Parham at the horn, air ball. Duke will take a 12-point lead to the locker room, Corey. And the Blue Devils fought through the rugged first, 5 to 8 minutes of this one to try and find some rhythm in the last 12 for Coach K.
They really did, and they used the free throw stripe to their advantage. The Blue Devils 14 for 19 after starting out 2 for 6 from the free throw line, and that has been the difference here in this first half.
Well, Mike Krzyzewski's team leads 35-23. It's been a busy night in the ACC. Jordan Cornette and KJ Smith from our studio next. Second half of ACC Network basketball presented by Geico from Cameron. Number 2 Duke leading Georgia Tech 35-23. Great to be with Corey Alexander, West Durham. It was kind of a rusty start to the ball game for really both schools. Duke was able to knock off that rust with about 12 minutes to go. Georgia Tech went through a massive drought from the floor in the first half. And Corey, some of these field goal shooting numbers for Georgia Tech, it's their worst half of the year, either half. For Duke, it's their worst first half of the year scoring-wise and shooting-wise.
Well, both these teams, of course, coming off of, a COVID pause. Georgia Tech actually had a game on Sunday and got an opportunity to, get a little bit of the rust out. But this is only the second true road game this season for the Yellow Jackets, and it's showing. And also we have to remember they're playing without Rodney Howard, their starting big man on the season, and they haven't gotten much production up front, especially offensively, from the two guys filling in. And for Georgia Tech, WD, they're having to replace not only the ACC Player of the Year, but the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And that's tough to do for anyone, but right now Georgia Tech just doesn't have the personnel to be able to fill those roles. They need for Michael DeVoe to step up and have a huge second half, as well as Jordan Usher, if they want any chance at getting a win here at Cameron.
Roach in transition and whistle and a foul called. Bert Smith working tonight with A.J. Desai and Jeb Hartness has tagged Kyle Sturdivant with his 4th to start the second half. DeVoe and Usher, who come into the ball game averaging right at about 36.5 points a game, have combined for 5 in the first half. And here is Roach at the line for the first, and it bounces away. Half dozen for Jeremy Roach in the opening frame. The other area, Corey, you mentioned without Rodney Howard, Gigi Berea and Mecca have tried to fill that post void, if you will. And Duke's dominance on the glass. Banchero had 7. Mark Williams had 9. 16 rebounds combined. Georgia Tech only had 18 as a team in the first half. You see the Jackets field goal drought is now over 6 minutes.
That's one of those things about when, of course, shoot the ball so bad, there are going to be a lot of rebounds, and give Mark Williams credit for stepping up and accepting the challenge from Coach K to be a better rebounder, to finish off defensive possessions for the Blue Devils. That was one of the things that Coach K talked to us about yesterday, where Mark really had to make a stride for this team to be able to reach their full potential. They have to do a better job on their defensive glass.
Moore stripped by DeVoe on the way to the basket, recovered inside Mecca. Nice rollout. Here's Georgia Tech with Usher trying to get through traffic. Banchero defends, and he left it short.
I would much prefer to see Jordan Usher take that shot than throw it out to someone, risking a turnover and not getting a shot at the basket, and also the basketball in the hands of someone who can't score. Jordan Usher's going to have to find a way to be more aggressive, as well as Michael DeVoe, as we see another miscue from the Blue Devils, to the dismay of Coach K and the staff. But and again, you would expect that from Duke. Their 6th turnover of the game. But you would expect that, honestly, I would have expected more from them for a team that hasn't really played basketball, in 2 weeks, and more importantly, been on the court in a week.
Yep. Kick out and a 3 out of the corner from Moore. Mecca the rebound. And bounced off Banchero. It'll stay with Georgia Tech. Interesting spot for the Jackets, who won their only road game, their only true road game of the year. They won in mid-November at Georgia. A 10-point victory. DeVoe had a huge night. They have won 3 straight ACC road games, Corey, coming into tonight.
But they
finished
also, they did that with a different group.
That's true. That is true. Here's Usher. Baseline fall away with the shot clock winding down. Missed everything. Shot clock violation.
And WD, one of the things that we also talked about, we've been on the big guys for Georgia Tech, and again, I don't want to pile up on those guys. But point guard play has been suspect this year for Georgia Tech as well. And that position has been split between Davion Smith and Kyle Sturdivant. And again, that has been a change. When you talk about losing Jose Alvarado, who, and again, only in my opinion, and I love Moses Wright. I think Moses Wright was great last year, well deserving of everything that he received. But I thought Jose Alvarado was actually the most valuable player on that Georgia Tech team a year ago. And when you lose Moses Wright, but also lose Jose Alvarado, the defensive player of the year in the ACC, but a point guard that made everything go, whether he had to score, whether he had to make a play for his teammates, he was the guy that made everything go for Georgia Tech. And when you don't have that type of production on this Georgia Tech team, there leaves 2 huge holes in your lineup that Josh Pastner is trying to replace.
Yeah, no doubt. Not only a lot of production, a lot of leadership as well from those 2 fellas. Here's a deep 3 from Moore, and Williams had it punched away. Here's DeVoe, a pull-up 3 in transition. Back rim miss there, and another rebound for Williams.
Don't mind that shot from DeVoe. He's a 46% three-point shooter, and again, he has to start hunting shots. If his team wants any chance or whatever, Michael DeVoe is going to have to take a lot of shots here in the second half.
There's a foul on Banchero. He and DeVoe got tripped up, and Paolo draws his first. Number 1 on the Blue Devils here in this second half of play. And here, just better than 3 minutes in to half 2, Georgia Tech has only been able to shave a point off the halftime deficit.
Hey, WD, we showed the tweet earlier from regarding the comments from Michael DeVoe and not getting a good whistle this year. One of the things that Josh Pastner talked to him about was not playing to get fouled. Just play to score. If you get a call, so be it. But when you attack the basket, go to score in comparison to go looking for a foul. And right now, DeVoe has been out of sorts in this game. Give credit to the Blue Devils defensively. Where Duke hasn't been great offensively, they've done the job defensively. And it's not just DeVoe struggling. Wendell Moore, who has been, on an ACC Player of the Year pace to this point, only has 1 point in this game. So the rust is truly showing for Wendell Moore, who's been, most consistent player for the Blue Devils all season long.
Williams missed the chippy and then flushed home the rebound. He's got 8 on his 3rd field goal. And Parham at the other end, fouled by Roach, trying to get a bucket in transition.
WD, you know where Mark Williams is from, right? He's from the great state of Virginia, who produced the best offensive rebounder ever to play the game of basketball. Mr. Fo, rest in peace, Moses Malone. And Mark just went Mo on that possession. Throw it off the glass or off the rim and go back and dunk it on your own. I'm sure Wendell Moore not too excited about the fact that he didn't get an assist on that play, though.
Parham tries to squeeze it inbounds to Moore. It got knocked out of bounds. You see Saba Gigi Berea has checked back in for Georgia Tech. 2 in the blue for Josh Pastner. Now, Gigi Berea playing for the 10th time this year. Last year played in only 8 ball games.
And Gigi Berea has an opportunity to be a very good post presence for Georgia Tech. When we talk Eric Reveneau and the development that has happened within the Georgia Tech program, how guys get better playing in this program, as we get an opportunity to see Jordan Usher being aggressive, absorbing the contact and finishing it off through the contact, getting an opportunity to get to the free throw line for the 3-point play. But, right now, Gigi Berea just isn't there. He's not there right now, and so that is where you have the deficiencies on the offensive end of the floor. But you have to play he and Jordan Mecca, especially with the absence of Rodney Howard, to make sure you can match up size-wise with the Blue Devils along their front line.
Here's Williams, another catch close, and put it on the ground and turned it over. Here's Usher the other way, going for the dunk on Banchero, and a foul on Paolo Banchero. That'll get us to a timeout. Partisans don't like it. Neither does the head coach. Breaking the action at Cameron. Corey, I'm beginning to believe Mark Williams might like seeing the gold and blue of Georgia Tech come rolling into his vision, because last year he had 20 and 7 with 3 blocks in Atlanta. Tonight he's got a dozen rebounds and 8 points for Coach K.
Well, and Mark Williams, of course, a lot expected of Mark to start the season, especially when you consider the way he ended last year. And this is the type of performance that everyone's expecting to see from Mark Williams, except for when he doesn't get my guy Wendell Moore the assist, throwing it off the glass to himself for the dunk. But right now, Mark Williams doing the job on the defensive glass. That's where he's been spectacular in this game. He's going to protect the rim. He gives Duke a backline presence that very few teams have in college basketball, and allows them to be able to play out on the perimeter. Even if those guys get beat, they've got to deal with Mark Williams on that back line. But rebound the basketball, finishing off plays, can take the Blue Devils to the next level.
Williams has got a dozen rebounds on the bench. He had 15 earlier this year in the win against Lafayette. And Jordan Usher, after the Banchero foul, got us to the timeout, knocks down both free throws. He's got 6, and the Duke lead is 9.
WD, I can remember yesterday we were talking to Coach K, and you mentioned being happy with Mark's progression, and he immediately said, no, I'm not happy with it. I want him to be better. And not saying that he hasn't been good, but he has such high expectations for Mark Williams, and he wants him to be better, especially rebounding. And that's one of the things, and we watched Coach K this year, and he has enjoyed coaching this team. But he has been on his guys and trying to get greatness from them each and every time out. you know, it's interesting to see how they'll respond from this COVID pause. But right now, it's been a successful outing thus far for the Blue Devils as they stretch the lead to 11.
Strong drive by Keels for his second field goal. And the lead back to 11. And whistle on the foul on the cut by Usher. It's on Jeremy Roach. It'll be his second. 5 on Duke. Or third on Roach, beg your pardon. So it was number 3 on Roach. So he will check out of the ball game. It is the 5th team foul against Duke. Spot throw in for Georgia Tech. Usher. Pretty hard taking on Baker, and 1 for Jordan Usher.
That's the Jordan Usher that has to be present for the Ramblin' to have a chance at Cameron Indoor. Just being aggressive, attacking the basket, getting downhill. Jordan Usher has averaged 18 points a game over the last 4 for Georgia Tech, including a 30-point game in their overtime win over Georgia State. So, you know, he's a guy that has to be productive for them to have a chance to win. And when you look at his numbers as of late, he's been that. He's going to have to be that for the remaining 14-40 of this one.
Corey, he's got 7 of their 9 in the second half. The lead 8 for Duke. And you see Keels running the offense here for Coach K. It's been a quiet night so far for Wendell Moore. Just a free throw to his credit in the scoring column. Keels into the corner. Griffin bumped and fouled. Foul will be on Usher. It'll be his second. And the 3rd on the Jackets here in the second half. Kind of excited to see A.J. Griffin tonight, the 6'6 freshman. 3 double-figure games in his last 4, including 13 against Virginia Tech in the Blue Devils' last game back on the 22nd before the pause. Here's Banchero trying to drive for the dunk, and Gigi Berea draws his 4th. Corey,
love the aggressiveness of Paolo Banchero attacking the basket, recognizing that timing isn't going to be at its best. Only 1 day of practice for the Blue Devils, but he knows that he has an advantage against Gigi Berea and can get to the rim. And if he's unable to finish, get to that free throw line where he's been good all season long, although he misses on that opportunity.
Banchero, there's such a high level of expectation here, Corey. What about his game do you think is already kind of packaged and ready to go?
You just want one?
I mean, okay, if he's gonna be better coming out of this, and you see Gigi Berea scoring, he's got now 6 in the ball game on his second field goal. If he's gonna come out of here of his freshman year with this high stakes potential, where does he have to get better in your mind? There's a follow by Griffin.
With every basketball player, I think he needs to get better in every aspect. So we'll start with that. Each and every player has to continue to improve, you know, on a consistent basis in every aspect. However, Paolo Banchero is the perfect combination of size, athleticism, skill, and mentality. And again, when you take all those things into consideration, and again, you look at, you know, of course, the rating according to our guy Mike Smits, giving him a C+ defensively. Mike Smits came out of the Gonzaga game raving that Paolo Banchero was the best prospect on the floor that evening, going up against Chet Holmgren, who is rated as the #1 prospect on Mike Smits' draft board. I love Mike Smits. Does a great job for ESPN. Shows up everywhere, looking at games, watching games. But at the same time, I would remind Mike Smits when he left Gonzaga, there was no question about Paolo Banchero's defense and who was the best player on the floor in that game. And so I'm not sure how the grade changed from there, but at the same time, I think that he's the best prospect in college basketball and heading into the NBA draft this year.
Griffin missed on the drive, draws the foul, I believe, from DeVoe. And Mike Krzyzewski will huddle with a couple of his rookies, Keels and Griffin there in particular. Foul on Mike DeVoe will be his second. 5 on Georgia Tech. Don't forget we've got women's basketball for you Thursday night in Raleigh. Number 5 NC State welcomes number 19 North Carolina to Reynolds Coliseum. Should be a great environment for the top 20 showdown between the Wolfpack and Tar Heels. 8 o'clock start on ACC Network and streaming live on the ESPN app. So A.J. Griffin. Yes, sir.
Well, to go back to your question before, I had an opportunity to do the G League Winter Showcase in Las Vegas. Spent a lot of time with both Moses Wright and Jose Alvarado, who, Jose Alvarado now with the New Orleans Pelicans, and Moses Wright with the LA Clippers. And speaking to a lot of NBA personnel, this, that, and other, the one thing that you hear different about Paolo Banchero in comparison to Chet Holmgren, who is also considered in that top spot, Paolo Banchero is plug and play. He's ready to go NBA level right now because of his physicality. Although Chet Holmgren may, to some people, have a higher ceiling, he is not going to be as effective day one because of the physicality of the NBA. And that's, also another tool that Paolo Banchero has, in his belt moving forward. Physically, he is prepared to play at any level of basketball.
Usher, quick pass, 3-ball. Coleman is short, and Mecca going to be called for the foul as Griffin ended up on the floor. It'll be the second on Jordan Mecca and the 6th on Georgia Tech.
Jordan Mecca playing inside, only 6'8", but trying to battle with the front line of the Blue Devils, and right now, just over-aggressively trying to seek out a rebound on that one. But I don't mind that play from Mecca. He's trying to provide some energy and effort for this team right now. And Georgia Tech has made a run at this thing. They got it down to 6. Now have to find a way to come up with stops, but difficult to stop that. And as Paolo Banchero starts to get into a rhythm offensively, this Duke team goes to a completely different level. 14 for Banchero with 9 rebounds. Closing in on his second double-double of the year. Here's Usher. Mecca the catch. One dribble in the hook. Short against Banchero. Right play, wrong person. It's the right pass from Jordan Usher, but there's a reason why Duke defensively is leaving Jordan Mecca. They do not trust that he can score even when he's at the basket, with very little resistance. So therefore, they're going to leave Mecca, give him those opportunities, and force him to make shots. 11-point lead for the Blue Devils when we come back.
Can you spell Coach K?
Oh boy,
No way.
couldn't tell you.
K? Right?
That's it. That's what I'm stopping at.
That's all I need to know. It's two Z's? That's embarrassing.
KRZYZEWSKI. Right there it is, right there.
11-point lead for Duke with 11.5 to go. Hurley and Collins shouldn't have been in that video, Corey.
Well, I think no one should have been in that video because it's embarrassing when the question was, can you spell Coach K? It's C-O-A-C-H space K. Again, so I don't understand why any of them were in this video because no one listened to the directions of the question.
Oh my goodness.
You see what I'm saying, WD?
Oh,
you got to pay attention to details. Nobody said spell Krzyzewski. They said spell Coach K.
They did. You're right. Banchero missed a couple of free throws. Paolo having a tough night at the line. He's a 83% free throw shooter, but tonight is 6 of 12. Duke as a team 16 of 27 and a drive and score from DeVoe. Coming off the COVID pause, this is one of those games, WD, where it's going to hurt some averages. You think about Wendell Moore still hasn't been able to get on track offensively. You already talked about Paolo Banchero shooting 50% from the line, coming in 80%. And then you look at, Trevor Keels, everyone from Duke. This is a Duke team that averages 85 points per game. And right now they're at 45. The timing is off, the rhythm is off, but
you would much prefer to be in this scenario with a 9-point lead than you would being down 9, trying to shake off the rust. And for Coach K, it's simply about trying to get a win on your home court and find a rhythm, getting back into shape, getting back into that level of conditioning that you were in before.
Roach, a long three. Banchero cleans up the rebound for the double-double. And stripped of it out of bounds. And it will belong to the Blue Devils with 10:37 to go here in this ball game. Corey, we saw Virginia Tech come off of the pause tonight and lose by 5 at home to NC State, by the way, 68-63. There's a standing three from the right. And Wendell Moore knocks it down. His first field goal of the ball game is his 20th three of the year.
And he's been shooting the basketball very well all year, 58% from the field on the season. So great for Wendell to see one go down, especially after the struggle that has been for him offensively. But, you really have to expect it. And, in talking with both coaches yesterday and today, they're expecting for their team to be able not come out and shoot the basketball well. It's solely about the energy that they're able to play with, and honestly how long they can play with the level of conditioning that they have in them in this game.
Here's Moore on the drive, fouled by Coleman, and will get the and one. So the junior from Charlotte's starting to heat up now.
Amazing the level of confidence that you gain from just seeing the basketball go through the basket. Wendell Moore attacking and just getting the basketball up on the rim through the contact and an opportunity for the three-point play. And just like that, we were talking about 1 point for Wendell Moore, now opportunity to get to 7 and getting closer, even though he's unable to make that free throw, getting closer to a top 10 average in the ACC. We have 4 of the top 10 top 11 scorers in the ACC in this game alone.
Yep. Moore on the drive, Khalid Moore. Here come the Blue Devils with Banchero. Look out into traffic, and a block is called on Mecca. That will be his third. Gigi Berea playing with 4 already. 9 on Georgia Tech.
And Paolo Banchero trying to make something happen on the offensive end of the floor. Fortunate not to be called with the offensive foul on that possession. Looks like Mecca did get there and get stopped, as Banchero made the cardinal sin of jumping the pass. Fortunate to be bailed out on that possession.
1-1 for Banchero.
Immediately after the play, Paolo Banchero looked over to Coach K, patted his chest and said, "My fault," because he knew he was out of control in that possession. But of course, the GOAT reminded him just to calm down, slow down, take your time out here.
15 and 12 tonight for Banchero, who gets 1 of 2 at the line. And now Josh Pastner will take a 30-second timeout. We'll take it with him. 9:16 to go at Cameron. Duke leading Georgia Tech by 13. "13-point lead for Duke with 9:16 to go. Paolo Banchero's got 15 points and 11 rebounds. He's 7 of 14 from the line. Michael DeVoe and Georgia Tech are 7 of 8 at the line tonight, Corey.
Well, Duke
has attempted a season. Well, they've attempted a season-high 30 free throws tonight.
Yeah, and Duke has been aggressively attacking the basket and getting their opportunities at the rim. The difference for Duke is they've been going to score, where Michael DeVoe, Jordan Usher have been going to make plays for teammates who aren't able to score around the basket and not getting fouled. So that has been the difference in this game. Duke's advantage has been at the free throw line. Neither of these teams have shot the basketball very well from the floor.
Jump shot no, and Keels the rebound. Blue Devils have seen Georgia Tech shoot 28.6% tonight from the floor. Last time they held a conference opponent under 30 was 7 years ago against Louisville. There's a drive. Keels couldn't finish it. Now the Jackets try to pick up something in transition. Behind the back and the scoop, DeVoe. And here's Moore at the other end, all the way to the basket, and Williams will follow with the flush.
Nice pass, Wendell. Can you give my guy assist on that one?
10 points, 12 rebounds now for Mark Williams. A pair of double-doubles in the Duke lineup tonight. And DeVoe nets a long three.
Hey, WD, when you mentioned 7 years ago, team holding Duke holding a team under 30%. You didn't remember anything significant about that team 7 years ago?
They won the national title?
Yep, that was a pretty good team. Led by my guy, Tyus Jones, of course, Jahlil Okafor, Justice Winslow, Grayson Allen with the huge championship game.
Moore had it swatted by Mecca. Foul on the deck, I believe, against Georgia Tech. And it's on Kyle Sturdivant, and that'll be his fifth. 7:40 to play at Cameron. Blue Devils by a dozen. Well, on a night when the two teams have combined to go 31 of 95, Corey, for under 33%, Duke is 36.4% from the floor, and it might hold on to be good enough tonight. 12-point lead for the Blue Devils with 7:40 to play here at Cameron tonight.
Well, and coming into this game, I felt like Georgia Tech had an advantage because they did get 3 days of practice last week. They had a game on Sunday, and of course a practice day yesterday, being able to come in and try to prepare for this game, where the Blue Devils just started back to practice yesterday after their isolation. And so I felt like there was an advantage for Georgia Tech just from that standpoint alone of conditioning. But whenever you're coming into Cameron Indoor, it's going to be an advantage, Duke. And Georgia Tech missed on a number of opportunities early in this game in the first half to put pressure on the Blue Devils, especially after making a run. Could have made it a one-point game. Costly turnover by their best player, Michael DeVoe, going to their next best player, Jordan Usher. And from there, it's been all downhill for the Rambling Wreck. That allowed Duke to gain a little more of a lead and some more rhythm on offense. And Blue Devils haven't looked back since.
Foul before the shot by Michael DeVoe will get him to the line. Trevor Keels tagged with his second. Seventh on Duke with 7:25 to play. Don't forget, we've got a full day of basketball coming up for you here on ACD Network. Triple header starts at 4 o'clock and it's capped at 8 with Miami visiting number 2 Duke at Cameron. Coverage on ACC Network. That follows Notre Dame's visit to Georgia Tech in Atlanta at 6 o'clock. As we said, it's a full day of basketball right here on ACC Network, streaming live on the ESPN app.
That's what Saturday should be, WD. It should be a full day of basketball. I mean, it's January. It's cold outside. I don't know about, in Cartersville, but I can tell you right now, in Richmond, ooh, baby.
Little bite to it tonight, huh?
A little bit. 11 degrees was the low here today. And
yeah. Still got any snow on the ground up there?
I wouldn't know anything about it because I'm not going outside.
That's exactly right. I remember being in the streets of Brooklyn at the tournament a few years ago with you. You were quick from the door to the car, as I recall. Here's Sturdivant to drive for the basket.
A little disappointed that car couldn't get closer to the door, too, by the way.
It's hard to believe you spent part of your pro career in Denver. 10-point lead for Duke in the basketball against Josh Pastner's zone here. And a travel on Keels before the contact with Parham, and Coach K thought there might have been some contact along the way.
One thing about the NBA, buddy, you go where they're paying. Denver was writing the checks. I'm cashing them, baby. I'm going to show up for work. No question about it. But I tell you what, I couldn't wait to get out of there, though.
Georgia Tech trailing 10. Kyle Sturdivant pull up. Williams another rebound. Quite a night for Mark Williams now. He's one off his season high with 14 rebounds. career high was 19 against Louisville a year ago in March. Still a 10-point game with 6 minutes to play. Stopping a couple threes by the Jackets, and this thing might get a little ticklish. DeVoe, the scoop and score.
And it makes you question as to why there hasn't been more of that from Michael DeVoe. Why has he not been as aggressive attacking the basket as Duke calls a timeout to get some attention to Wendell Moore Jr., who's struggling to get over to the huddle. We'll check that out when we come back.
5:47. Yep, timeout back after this. Eight-point game with 5:41 to play. Timeout at the Duke bench for Mike Krzyzewski. And Michael DeVoe with a comment toward the head coach, and not quite sure what was said there, but Coach K not too happy, Corey.
Well, I wouldn't be happy either, because at the same time, one thing that we always talk about is coaches, you coach your own players. So at the same time, that's uncalled for Michael DeVoe to have any type of commentary towards Coach K. And it's not as though we've never seen it before, but at the same time, Coach K simply just called a timeout. He's not speaking to Michael DeVoe.
Right.
Michael DeVoe's reaction there, and again, nothing that can be done about it now, but in play, if you can't say certain things to another player, what makes it okay to say them to an opposing coach?
Right.
And so, again, not that the officials can go back on it right now, but that's something that if it's caught in live action, that should be a technical foul. Because, again, that goes against, of course, Bert Smith going to have a conversation with Michael DeVoe right now. But, that's not going to sit very well at all. And if I'm Coach K, I make sure to let my players know what happened in that huddle. I think that's something that lights a fire underneath his guys moving forward.
So we'll see what happens out of the timeout. After the DeVoe layup, Duke leading by 8 with 5:42 to play. As we continue here in Durham, the Blue Devils, we've told you, host Miami here on Saturday and then visit Winston-Salem next Wednesday night.
And Coach K making good. Well, Michael DeVoe trying to make good with Coach K, this and another. Coach K, acknowledging it. But what I tell you, there are no greater competitors than Mike Krzyzewski. Please believe he's going to acknowledge it. He's going to accept, the apology or whatever it may be. But at this point, he wants for his guys to turn it up on his court right now.
And now 1-4 set with Sturdivant holding the ball. He and Gigi Berea playing with 4 on the floor. Khalid Moore also out there with 4 for Josh Paston. Here's DeVoe against Wendell Moore. Step back 3. And a whistle and a foul, and Khalid Moore's night will be over if that's on him.
Khalid Moore got off to such a great start. He was the offense for Georgia Tech early in this game, scoring 7 of their first 11 points. But getting in foul trouble in the first half slowed him down quite a bit.
First time he's fouled out of a ball game with 4:56 to play. And 2 shots at the other end for the freshman A.J. Griffin. And the first one no good. Don't forget Saturday nights at 10 o'clock we cover the backside of all the day in basketball on the ACC. Highlights, analysis, and more come up on Nothing But Net. Kelsey Riggs, Luke Hancock, the aforementioned Carlos Boozer tonight, and Joel Berry will be there for you.
Disappointed in my guy Booze. I thought Booze was going to roll with me.
He agreed with me. Yeah, he agreed with me.
I guess you could claim that one.
Yeah.
He just said, unfortunately, it's not considered Pacific Northwest. I need to talk to Trajan. Trajan's going to roll with me.
Gigi Berea turned it over. Coleman, I think, hit the far line. It'll go to the Blue Devils on the jacket giveaway with 4:40 to play. By the way, I appreciate all the folks that chimed in on social media with us recommending other players who technically are from the Pacific Northwest. Quinn Snyder was the only player from the state of Washington prior to Paolo Banchero's arrival. Mike Dunleavy, Kyle Singler. We got a lot of guys thrown at us tonight, Corey.
No.
Blue Devil greats.
Not us.
Throwing
not
at
us.
me. Throwing at me.
There you go.
Hey, sorry. Hey. Yeah. I got you. Here's Banchero skipping for Roach. Nice recovery by Parham, but Roach beats him on the dribble. And Sturdivant in the Jackets, trailing 9. Sturdivant all the way down and tried to get it to DeVoe. Back out front, 3 away. Well, DeVoe's found the arc in the second half.
And you know, the little mix-up going into the break didn't necessarily motivate Duke. It's motivated Michael DeVoe. You see his energy level is up, and just like that, this is a 6-point game. It's far from over, but Trevor Keels going strong to the basket, giving Duke a little more separation.
7-point game now for Keels on his 3rd field goal. Sturdivant going to set the offense again. DeVoe's got the hot hand. He's got 16 in the second half. Sturdivant playing with 4 on the drive. Knocked out. And last touch by the Blue Devils. 8 on the shot clock in an 8-point game, but a timeout here at Cameron with 3:23 left to go. Michael DeVoe here in the second half. 16 points, 6 of 11 from the floor, and a couple big threes. SEC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. Save even more when you bundle home and car insurance. Well, back in Cameron, Blue Devil fans trying to get this one to the house, up 8 with 3:20 to play. And hard drive by Michael DeVoe gets him his 8th field goal. He's now got 21 in the ballgame, Corey.
And maybe Michael DeVoe was conserving energy in the first half, but this was the Michael DeVoe we were expecting to see coming into this game, the ACC's leading scorer. And now, close to his average, 21 points per game as A.J. Griffin comes through with a beautiful finish off the nice find from Wendell Moore Jr. picking up the assist. And my guy, Terrence Munch Williams, PSA Cardinals, excited to see A.J. getting involved in the action, WD.
Griffin in double figures now with 10. 4th double-figure effort of the last 5, and a travel call on Sturdivant.
Wendell Moore in attack mode, getting downhill. And the beautiful find to A.J. Griffin with the great cut and the finish, showing off that athleticism. Part of the reason why he was a projected lottery pick coming into the season this year.
The lead 8 with 2.5 to go. Georgia Tech kind of hanging in that zone. Duke can afford to burn some clock here off if they choose. Griffin, skip out front for Keels. He will launch it and hit. 3 ball from Keels, his 2nd of the night. And just like that, 5 in a row make it an 11-point game.
After a Michael DeVoe run, Duke responds. The dunk from A.J. Griffin, and then the basketball moving very well. Trevor Keels recognizing the defense going to Wendell Moore Jr. in the corner, leaving Keels, and an opportunity to knock down the 3 for the freshman. And just like that, Duke responding with a 5-0 run to put the game back in double digits.
Corey, 15 tonight for Banchero, 10 for Griffin, 10 for Williams, and 10 for Trevor Keels. 4 in double figures for Coach K. His team now up toward 48% from the floor in the second half.
And that's with, you know, one of the ACC's top 5 scorers, top 6 scorers in the league, Wendell Moore Jr. only with 8 points, 2 for 11 from the field. So that's one of the luxuries that Coach K had. It can be any one of 3, 4 different players stepping up on any given night. They don't have to rely on one guy to have a big offensive performance each and every night out. But when you get them all clicking on the right cylinders, that's when you really have a problem.
A little pressure offered by the Blue Devils. Sturdivant into the front court. Boy, DeVoe from deep. And the rebound for Roach. And Wendell Moore will handle the rock. He's been in double figures, by the way, every ball game this year, Corey.
Yeah, and again, he has been Duke's most consistent player all season long. But coming off of this, COVID pause, you can see that Wendell Moore Jr.'s timing has definitely been affected by this. And he's the de facto point guard for this team. Jeremy Roach lines up. He's the smallest player. Many people would think that he is the point guard, but actually Wendell Moore Jr. is the guy that handles the basketball the majority of the time for this Duke Blue Devil team, even though these guys share that responsibility. And when you handle the basketball so much, especially trying to drive, get downhill, make plays for your team, your timing can really be affected by not playing 5-on-5 basketball, by not getting the chance to work out and get in the gym. And you can see that affected Wendell early in this game.
Banchero has attempted a month's worth of free throws tonight, 9 of 16 after he hit both there. And the lead 13 with 94 seconds left. Well, Mike Krzyzewski will go to 61-19 against Georgia Tech with the win tonight. Corey. Duke will have beaten Georgia Tech for the 15th time in 16 games and for the 19th time in the last 21 games.
And the most amazing stat of all that is, this is 80 games that Coach K has coached against Georgia Tech. So when you think of it from that standpoint, that's a lot of basketball games to coach against one opponent, to say that you have 61 wins against one school in particular.
Well, Miami here on Saturday for the Blue Devils, and then a Wednesday night trip to Winston-Salem. You can see both of those on ACC Network. And then NC State into Cameron on the 15th in a game that'll either be on ABC or ESPN. Kyle Sturdivant, a 3. That's just his 9th triple of the year and his first field goal from behind the line tonight. It's going to be an interesting ride for the Blue Devils, Corey. Up 10 with 73 seconds left, because now Coach K talking yesterday about getting back into not just the physical shape, but the mental conditioning he expects out of his basketball team.
Absolutely, and Coach K found something against Virginia Tech on December 22nd, their last time out, and that was he has a finishing lineup with A.J. Griffin in as at the 4 position, Paolo Banchero playing the 5. Duke will start with Mark Williams at the center position, but they can go small and finish, have better free throw shooters on the floor, better ball handlers on the floor with A.J. Griffin at the 4 position. And now it gives you so much more versatility within your lineup, because Griffin also can guard multiple positions where oftentimes Mark Williams may struggle with the perimeter player. Paolo Banchero and Griffin don't have that problem.
A little sidetracked in the preseason was Griffin with a knee problem, but boys, he come on strong. And that includes returning from the pause. There's Usher, a finish. He's in double figures tonight now on his 4th field goal. But it's a 10-point game and under a minute to go. And a backcourt foul on the reach. And I think that will be 5 on Sturdivant. And it will be. So Kyle Sturdivant will foul out, the junior from Norcross, Georgia. Here in the game's final minute, second jacket to foul out of the ball game tonight, and first time this year for Sturdivant. And Roach will go back to the line here for Duke. And the free throw good. Corey, already tonight, NC State a winner, Wake a winner, and Virginia got 25 from Jaden Gardner to win at Clemson. By the way, in a weird kind of a two-game series with those two teams, right?
It really
Around
has
the pause
been
for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, 2 of their first 3 ACC games against each other. Clemson going up and getting a 17-point win at JPJ earlier in the year. Virginia going back and avenging that loss.
Yeah. In fact, the Clemson-Virginia game was the same night as the Duke-Virginia Tech game. Blue Devils back in action. Tigers and Cavaliers both return to the floor tonight. Clemson had games canceled against Duke, by the way, and also, Notre Dame, I guess, right?
Yeah, we got a lot of talking going on the floor, WD.
Yeah, we do.
These guys got a lot of conversation going on right now.
DeVoe and Gigi Berea had it knocked out of there, but the foul, calling the foul on Roach.
See the officials coming in, trying to make sure they keep everything under control here for the remaining 36.4. But a lot of conversation going on under the basket on the last possession. Michael DeVoe with the cooler head getting out of there right now. He's already had a run-in with Coach K earlier in this game. Doesn't want to attract any more attention to himself at this point in the game, but you best believe some of these Duke players didn't forget what happened between DeVoe and their coach.
Tossed away, and Roach fouled by Debo Coleman. No foul.
Yeah, that basketball is going to go back to Georgia Tech. I'm not sure how that happens. Be interesting to see, because it looked like Coleman blocked Roach's shot from our angle, but Roach getting out in transition.
And Gigi Berea just had it rejected by Banchero. And Duke can wind this out. Blue Devils going to go to 2-0 in the ACC with Miami on Saturday. 12-1 overall. Georgia Tech going to be winless in 3 ACC games. 1 below 500 on the year with Notre Dame and Atlanta on Saturday. 69-57 the final, Corey.
Yeah, no handshake line, but you do get an opportunity to see Michael DeVoe, Coach K, hash it out. Both these guys, of course, tremendous competitors, and we didn't think there would be a handshake line, but there has become a handshake line right now, a conversation between Coach K and Josh Pastner regarding the conversation. Josh Pastner wanting to know what exactly happened between DeVoe and Coach K.
So Mike Krzyzewski and Josh Pastner talk, and Duke a winner. 69-57 is the final. Impressive performance tonight. Double doubles from Paolo Banchero, 17 points, 11 rebounds. Mark Williams, 10 points, 14 rebounds. 4 Blue Devils in double figures. Michael DeVoe, 21, led Georgia Tech. Stay tuned. Jordan Cornette, KJ Smith standing by. Another edition of All ACC. Thanks for joining us tonight for ACC basketball presented by Geico. Duke wins 69-57.